Hello and welcome to Pearls of HanaMadeIt. My name is Courtney and I'm coming to you from Parma, Ohio, where I live with my husband and all of our yarn. Today is Thursday, July 30th. I cannot believe that it is already the end of July. I don't know where the summer has gone. You can find me mainly over on Ravelry and in our Discord group for the podcast. If you would like to be added to that, reach out to me on Ravelry, or you can email me at pearlsofharmadice@gmail.com. That plus some other fun places will be linked down below, along with everything that I discussed today. I also run the Giant Mini Mal 2026. We're in our third year of that, and I am currently running the super duper loosey-goosey garment mal. Both of those are run in my podcast group over on Ravelry. So let me pause for a second while I grab the phone. Okay, sorry about that. That was the call I've been waiting on. So that was good. Where was I? Oh, my make-alongs. So if you would like to join, the super duper loosey-goosey garment mal is just, if you're working on garments, we're stretching our skills, we're doing new things, casting on some things, finishing some things. It is just a chatter thread. So get in there, have fun. Even if you're not a garment knitter, you can still participate, or crocheter. Crochet is always welcome too. You're welcome to comment, chat, whatever. Everybody over there gets entered for prizes. And then there is a Giant Mini Mal chatter thread that I will draw from occasionally. I didn't this quarter mainly because I forgot. And then there's also a finished object thread that you can place your things in for the Giant Mini Mal, which is basically use your scraps, use your leftovers. We consider a leftover, scrap, mini, whatever. Anything that started at the beginning of the project is under 50 grams. Speaking of my make-alongs, I had drawn for quarter two prizes last podcast. I drew 3 winners and only one of them reached out to me. Because of it being summer and views on YouTube are way down in the summer, I am going to give you guys a couple more weeks to get back to me. So if you have not watched the previous episode, please go back and at least watch that portion if you have entered anything since like April 1st in that make-along, in either make-along. Yeah. Go back, watch that, and see, because you might be a winner. If you are, please reach out to me on Ravelry. That is the best place to reach me these days. Okay. I think that's all I have as far as that goes. One more just little fun admin thing. The podcast did turn 4 years old on the 22nd, so about a week ago, which was a surprise. I had totally forgotten that I had a podiversary coming up. So we've been a community for 4 years, and I think that that is super exciting. I am probably going to do some kind of pattern giveaway later in the episode, probably at the end, because I will have to think of a prompt. I will think of something for you guys to comment. Actually, no, let's just do it now. So I will give away a pattern over on Ravelry, or if Ravelry is inaccessible to you, we'll figure out something else. 10 USD or under. So let's see, what can you all comment below to be entered? I don't know. I am so unprepared, and the phone call just like threw me off. Let's go with what your favorite summertime food is. Tell me what your favorite summertime food is down below in the comments, and then I will pick a winner on the next podcast. So I usually record these every other Thursday, so I don't have a calendar in front of me. I'm not sure what day that would be, like the 12th or 13th of August, whatever that Thursday is. The day before is probably, that Wednesday before is probably the cutoff. Okay. Let's stop rambling. Let's get into the knitting, because, and also my windows are open. Sorry for the city noises, but it is a beautiful morning and I am not wasting it. Okay. don't have a lot to show today. I don't have a lot to talk about. This will probably be a shorter one. But what I do have is a big, huge, ginormous finished object. So, if you have been around, I have been working on this since September of last year. And this was supposed to be the Garter Squish by Stephen West, which is already barely a pattern. Basically, you're holding 2 strands of yarn together and knitting in garter the whole way with like an I-cord edging. And I think you're supposed to cast off an I-cord, but you don't do an I-cord cast on. So I didn't see the point. So I did not do an I-cord cast off. I just did my regular bind off. This thing is so huge. I am not going to unwind it. You can kind of see all the colors right here. It is like 81 inches long by like 42 inches wide. It is very big. I cast on more stitches than the pattern recommended, and I wish I had not done that. I wish I would have gone with just the recommended stitch count, because I think I would have gotten a blanket that was a size that was better. But I'm planning on donating this. Someone will be delighted with a super long blanket. So it's all good. The goal for this was to just use up yarn that I had. I used up a bunch of different white and off-white and ivory, acrylic, worsted weight leftovers and rescue yarn and stuff like that. And then I held that double with Lion Brand Homespun, a lot of which I had inherited or been given by people, and just wanted to get it all used up. So, can anyone guess how many grams this baby weighs? It is heavy. I'll give you a second. Drum roll, please. 2,542 grams out of stash in this project. Yay. I am so happy about that. It is beautiful. The drape is really nice. The colors did not, it looks gorgeous on camera. In person, I don't like it quite as much. I thought the white would lighten those colors up a bit more than it did, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to donate it. It's all good. So, yeah. And then let's just launch into end of the month stats. I'm not going to finish anything today or tomorrow, so we can go ahead and do that. That's all I finished in July. That was most of my July knitting. Was working on this with the AC on and fans directly on me, because this is a warm and cozy blanket. So I am ending July with 2,542 grams out for the month, which brings my year-to-date total. I am at a negative 3,388 grams, and I feel so good. So if you figure an average skein of yarn is about 100 grams, that means I've gotten almost 34 skeins out of stash. What? Unfortunately, most of these skeins were a little bit larger, so I didn't actually get 34 skeins. Not 34,000. Oh my gosh, I don't even have anything near that. But I didn't actually get 34 out, but like equivalents. So that's pretty good. I am very pleased with that. And like I said, that's where 90% of my knitting time has gone over the past couple of weeks. I am very glad to have that off of my needles. I'm excited to be working on something different. I also realized I forgot to talk about what I'm wearing, so we're going to talk about that real quick. This is the Confetti Crop by Knitatude. I knit this several years ago. I used HanaMadeIt's yarn. I don't remember the name of the base. It's a single ply 90-10 Superwash Merino linen blend, and I love it. I wear this all the time. It's got this beautiful lace detail up at the yoke. It's really, really lovely. It's got great drape. I wouldn't mind knitting myself another one. I get a lot of wear out of this. So if you are looking for a nice fingering weight little crop pattern to sneak into your summer still, this would be a good one. Okay, my one and only work in progress, because this is the only thing I worked on aside from the blanket. Like I said, it's going to be a shorter one today. I can guarantee it, because that blanket took all of my time. Okay, so, whoop. Okay, whoa, my goodness, we are losing things. We're losing things, but it's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. All right, so this is, I will go over yarn in a second, but this is just a vanilla sock using the recipe I just use, which gave you so much information, that I am knitting for my husband. So it's supposed to be a Christmas sock. To me, this is not, I guess it kind of is Christmassy. I don't know. It doesn't give me super Christmassy vibes, but he will love it. So I got all the way from, who do we have up here? Okay, I think, is that Goomba? I think. If I'm wrong, you're yelling at the screen. So I got all the way from here, did the entire leg, and got through the heel flap. The heel flap, I opted to do a contrasting color. I don't think I'll do a contrasting toe, just the heel. I didn't want to break up these stripes too much. And this was just, I don't even know what this is. It was in my scrap basket, and hopefully it has nylon. I have no idea. So anyways, that is where the rest of my knitting time went. So not a whole lot to show, but I think that this is turning out really fun. It has felt so good and so refreshing to work on a sock again. I haven't worked on socks much this year at all, and I forgot how much I enjoy them and how fun they are to knit. I love knitting the leg of a sock. Just that round and round, especially self-striping, where you just want to get to the next color, get to the next color, get to the next color. So these are Rayana Garn, I don't know, Flot Sock 4F Christmas. 75% allegedly virgin wool, but the German translation has the word superwash in it, so I don't know. And 25% polyamide. There you go. There's your show notes. The color is 2501. Very exciting colorway name. And yeah, that is all she knit. I am sorry I don't have more knitting to share. I will, hopefully, while I was talking about the blanket, I inserted some photos of it so that you can see a little more of it, but there's no way for me to get the whole thing in the frame. I am not unrolling this and trying to fold it back up. So that'll go out for donation tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to be working on the next couple of weeks, since I have been putting all of my eggs into one blanket lately, but we shall see, and I'm excited to catch you up on what I'm knitting then. So if you were just here for the knitting and the crafting, that's all I've got. That is all she wrote. I've got nothing else. Sorry, nothing else to share. If you are sticking around for reading and life, we are going to shift gears into that. I have been reading a little bit, but again, not a ton. Let me grab my reading journal that fell on the floor here, which I did finish. This is all filled up except for one page where I started an audiobook months and months ago and never got back to it. So I have finished 2 books and started a 3rd. Not a lot of reading either, I told you. It's been just kind of a busy couple weeks, and that blanket has eaten all my time. Okay, so I finished, which I spoke about last time, Every Day I Read by Huang Bo Room, which I'm probably mispronouncing, and I'm so sorry. That was a collection of nonfiction essays, kind of also a memoir. I began that on July 16th, ended it on July 21st, and I read that in print. 237 pages. I gave it 3.75 stars. It was copyright 2021, but the English translation came out copyright 2025. I have seen this book everywhere. My local bookstore. I've seen it on lists. I had seen it at my library I currently work at, the library that I worked at before this library. Like, I have been seeing this book everywhere. So obviously I had to pick it up. I'm a library worker. I love to read. I needed to see what this was about. So this collection of essays is basically the author's love letter to reading. I think she even says that, like, in her introduction. And we get a peek into her life through, and like everything through her reading style and through the books that she's reading and her reading experience. And basically walk with her kind of as she looks back on her reading journey. So here's where I landed on this book. I appreciated some of her suggestions, and I did think it was interesting. I thought it was a little too long. I felt like there was a lot of repetition by the end. It was, I don't know. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed the writing. I liked how she spoke about books. I liked some of her book recommendations. I also felt like she was reading things that were so much more highbrow than what I'm reading. So I was also like, oh, you're a reader, but I don't know if you're my kind of reader. So yeah, I thought it was okay. Would I recommend it? I honestly don't know. I do think if you are looking for something, it'd be great before bed reading. If you just want to read a couple of pages a day, I thought it was decent. Maybe it just wasn't for me. So that's where I left that. The cover's gorgeous, though. Gorgeous cover. No notes on the cover. Okay, so then I read Mad Mabel by Sally Hepworth. I love Sally Hepworth. So, foreshadowing, I had very high expectations for this book. This is a contemporary mystery thriller. However, there are some flashbacks to, I believe, the 1950s or 60s maybe. So there is a little bit of a historical element, but it really doesn't play in a ton. I started this on July 22nd, finished it July 26th. I read that in print. It was 347 pages long. I gave it 3.75 stars. Copyright 2025. I believe the American edition did come out this year, though. So we follow Elsa, and Elsa is an 81-year-old woman. She lives on a quiet street in Melbourne, and we meet her neighbors. One of her neighbors ends up dying, and there's this cloud of suspicion that comes over her because people find out about her past and who she was. And she used to be known, her real name is Mabel Elsa, or Elsa is what somebody else calls her. I think her name is actually Elsie. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because she used to be known as Mabel. That's her real name, Mad Mabel, because she was the youngest convicted murderer or something in the history of Australia. And so now she's just this little elderly lady living on this quiet street, and she comes under suspicion. I guess she's not little. She's like very tall. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. But anyways, what the book is really about is her connections with these neighbors who are also quirky and interesting. And so it's such a great cast of characters. And then you flash back to her childhood and you see, okay, so what happened? Who did she murder? What happened? What led her to that point? How does all of this connect? And Hepworth does a great job of connecting everything at the end for the most part. I think there were a few things that were left open-ended that I would have liked to see loops closed a little bit better. And like I said, I love Sally Hepworth. The Soulmate, excellent. The Good Sister, which I think I have right back here, loved that book. I thought that this was good. Definitely there was a message of like what it means to be a good neighbor, and I really liked that. I didn't think it was her best. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. Like, would I recommend it? Sure. But of hers, it was definitely not my favorite. So I was a little bit disappointed. I kind of had to sit down and force myself to read it. I normally with hers, I can't put them down. This one, I was like, okay, I gotta finish this because it's overdue. So yeah, that's kind of where I landed on that. I thought it was decent, but I didn't think it was my favorite of hers. So a little bit bummed about that. And now I am reading, which this one has been sitting on my bookshelf for months. I need to get through this because I need to get it returned also. Bad Asians by Lillian Lee. And this one is literary fiction. Again, reading something that's a little more, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say highbrow, but a little more whatever than what I normally read. So from what I can gather, I'm not super far in. This follows a group of 4 friends who have been friends since they were young children. They're now in their early 20s, figuring out life. The book is set back in, I think, 2009, which for me is the year I graduated high school. So these folks are a few years older than me, but they have entered the workforce, or attempted to enter the workforce is probably more accurate, right during the Great Recession and everything that was going on with that. And, trying to get into the tech industry and all that kind of stuff. And it follows them and this other young woman who was kind of friends with them, but really on the outside of their group. And when they were, I believe, in middle school, she had made a movie of them. And she wants to be a filmmaker. So she's like, and this movie went viral on YouTube or something. I don't know. So now she wants to make a current one, just following them, like a documentary. And so we're getting to know the characters as she's interviewing them and as they're going through just their day-to-day. Yeah, so let me give you stats on that, and then I will tell you what I'm thinking so far. I started it on January. Oh my gosh, I did not start it in January. July 27th. Obviously, I'm reading it in print. I just held it up. It has 336 pages and copyright 2026. As you can see, I did have to move on to another journal. So yay, that was exciting. I am not loving this book so far. I had heard about this, I want to say, maybe on like an NPR Book of the Day podcast or something. Some kind of a review, or they interviewed the author or something like that. And it sounded really intriguing. I remember, as somebody who was applying to colleges during that time and trying to figure out what in the world to do, I remember how fraught that time was for so many people. They touch on like the foreclosures that were going on during that time and all of that kind of stuff. So I was very intrigued. I'm not liking any of these characters. I don't know. I'm kind of in a slump right now. Because I have not, the last book I loved the characters, the Mad Mabel, loved the characters. The plot I thought was This one, I don't know what the plot is. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. Literary fiction, I feel like, is generally not my thing because I feel like there isn't as much plot as I like. I like plots. I like a good plot. I love good characters too. Obviously, you can have the best plot ever, but if your characters are trash, then it doesn't matter. But I also, and I know literary fiction tends to be more character focused. I'm hoping that I will feel differently as the book goes on. It's also interesting because obviously it's Bad Asians. These are young Asian folks, which is not obviously my personal experience. So there are things that I inherently can't relate to, which is fine. That's the whole point of reading, is to read about different people and different experiences who live different lives than you do. But yeah, I'm not sold on it, but I'm not writing it off yet either. we shall see. Like I said, I'm not that far in. It could turn around. All right, that's all I have for reading. We are zipping through. I knew this was going to be a shorter one, and I know a lot of you enjoy my much longer rambly podcast, so I am so sorry that this is not one of those, but that's the way it goes sometimes, and a little bit is better than nothing, right? Okay, so we'll move on to life stuff. The days are blurring together. They are so blurring together. The weeks are blurring together. I don't even know. I don't know where July went. I don't know where the last couple months went. I am 2 months into my new job, still loving it, still very happy there. So that has been really, really great. Still working on finding my rhythm with my new schedule and new lifestyle and everything. So that has been it's been fine. It's been great. It's just, it's an adjustment. It's a huge life change. I started doing yoga. I don't know if I had talked about that on my last episode, but I've started doing like 10 to 30 minutes of yoga in the morning, most mornings, and that has been really good. I've been connecting with friends from my old job. A couple of weeks ago, we had craft club and we just made collages, and that was great. We are now... Our crew is now watching Love Island, ironically. Yes, we know it's over, but we are having a blast just like watching it ironically and hanging out and having a good time like once a week. So that has been really, really fun. I've been really enjoying that. I've been trying to get outside as much as possible. I've been going for some long walks. I went over to a local park with a lake and just sat by it on Saturday for a couple hours in the morning, drinking my coffee and watching the birds and the kayakers and everything. So that was lovely. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. The days feel long and short at the same time. The weeks feel long and short at the same time. And my little pocket of delight for this episode, I think, will be that the other day I saw the first monarch butterfly of the season. I love butterfly season. We have a butterfly bush out next to our dining room window outside, and it is just so fun to watch them all flock there, especially when we get closer to like September during their migratory season. So I've seen more butterflies, and that is so exciting. And with that, I am going to wrap this up. I don't know that I have ever had an episode under 30 minutes, but I think today is the day. So I hope that you are having a great time wherever you are. I hope that you are finding time to do something that brings you joy, whether that is knitting, reading, kayaking, walking through the park, watching nature, living life, barbecuing, whatever it is that brings you joy. I hope that you're getting time to do that in your little corner of paradise. And I will be over here knitting away in my little corner of paradise. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.